I've been nominated 4 times. That's 4 nominations, 1 win. The second time I was nominated, the album that I was nominated on, which is Burna's album, which I thought was going to win, didn't win.
How did you feel when you found out that song Nightmares won a Grammy?
I never expected it. I never expected it.
Never expected it. One of the songs, right, that a lot of people know you for producing is Last Last with Burna Boy, right? What was the process of making that record?
It was Burna's idea to sample the song. It just happened that he was speaking to the right person. While I was producing, he was already, churning out ideas. I've never heard of a Nigerian artist that tours in 36 states in Nigeria. I've never heard of it. One of the reasons why we're missing out on a lot of money that we should be making as musicians, as African musicians or Nigerian musicians, is the fact that most of the big artists that we have in Nigeria are...
Few producers have shaped the sound of Afrobeats like Chopstix, from crafting Burna Boy's Last Last to producing on Chris Brown's 1111, which won the Best R&B Album at the 2025 Grammy Awards. Chopstix has consistently proven that he's not just making music, he's shaping the future of sound.
Who is Chopstix when you think about yourself? Like, how do you define yourself?
Yeah, so if I would describe myself to someone who's never met me before or who has no idea who I am, I would say I'm just a creative person, and I'm an all-round creative. Because I figured I tap into all forms and all levels of creativity. Does it be music, be it art, be it film, wherever it is, as long as it's a channel and an avenue for you to be able to express yourself creatively, I seem to easily resonate with that. So I would say I'm just a creative person. It just happens that music is the one of the creative arm that people know more about me for. But with time, I'm sure people will get to know like other things that I'm capable of.
Yeah. So you talked about art, movies, all those things. So what made you lean into like music, when it comes to creativity as opposed to those other areas?
Yeah, I mean, I was an artist before I became a musician. Like I was into art. I studied art in school. I studied fine and applied art in school, and I started doing graphic art as well and motion art as well. So, but my early in my life, my brother used to listen to a lot of music. My family is just listen. Nobody does music in my family. They just love music. They listen to music, and then I happen to have friends who were music lovers and who make music as well, and we were able to just connect. So music connected me to my friends, and and the people that I met early in the stage of my career. We just started creating from then. We just wanted to just express ourselves musically and just make beautiful sounds, because it just makes you feel good. We're just kids, just making music. We didn't think we we're making music to be stars or to be supposed. We're just making music to be happy, But the older you grow, the more you begin to realize that you have a career in your hands and you can make something out of it. And then from there, you start to create a vision for yourself and a goal for yourself, and then it starts to shape into something much bigger than even you, So that's how, it all started.
Okay. So do you feel like that process, like when it started becoming a career, right? Do you feel like it, in a way, took I don't want to say playfulness out of it, but I think that's better to describe it. Do you think it took the playfulness and the enjoyment side out of it, or maybe diminished it? Because I know, for me, I enjoyed playing soccer growing up, right? Like I played defense in secondary school in Nigeria, and I feel like at some point I wanted to go pro, but as I started okay, this is what pros do, and I started really focusing on it, it became less enjoyable in that way. Like it wasn't as playful as, okay, guys just meeting up. So
became work.
Yeah. Do you feel like that has happened for you?
Well, for me, I don't think so. Maybe in one or two instances where I was in a situation where I did not maybe enjoy who I was working with, or maybe I just encountered one of those industry work hazards, But entirely, I would say my entire career, I don't think I've ever been in a situation where I don't enjoy what I'm doing, the playfulness is still there. I think my inner child is still very much alive, and that's where the creativity comes from. Because I genuinely love what I do, so it gives me joy every time I do it. And that's what sustains the playfulness. Because when I play, that's where I give myself the liberty and just the level, the leeway to just create and just express myself freely. That freedom, that playfulness is what allows the freedom. But once the playfulness is gone, you box yourself in and just turn it into work, and it just becomes work for you. And work can be boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why a lot of people don't want to work, because work is actually work. It's just boring stuff.
Yeah.
But I try to make my work as playful as I can and as enjoyable as possible.
When was the first moment where you said, actually, let me try this thing out? And what prompted that? Was it maybe a friend or YouTube, or like, how did you, at what age were you at that time?
Yeah, I was my teenage years. I was probably like 12, 13 years old at the time, or even younger maybe. Before I started playing music or even producing music, I fell in love with music. Like, I would listen to songs, and I can remember my brother and I would have we used to like ruin a lot of my mom's tapes, like the audio tapes, because she had Christian songs, Christian albums. So so what we'll do is, because I kind of like grew up in Jos, and part of like earliest part of my childhood, and in Jos they have this radio show where it's like a hip hop radio show where they play hip hop songs, and there's a section of the show where they just play instrumentals.
Mm-hmm.
So what my brother and I would do is I would take one of my mom's tapes and record the instrumentals from on air, like just record it, tape it into the cassette, and then we would get another radio, play the instrument. We would play back the instrumentals from the first radio, and then record ourselves into the second radio, just rapping and freestyling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I used to rap and freestyle at the time with my brother, and that's how the love for music just started, growing and coming up. And then I met up with a friend of mine. Like, we were just kids at the time, and he used to play the keyboard in the church choir. And so I told the bro, I would love to learn this shit, man. Like, I would love to learn how to play the piano, because he was really good at it. And he plays the piano, guitar, lead guitar, bass guitar, and he plays some drums as well. So I just told him, bro, I just want to learn how to play the piano for now. And I was like, okay, cool, I'll teach you, but I don't have a piano myself. The only way I can teach you is if you join the church band. So whenever we rehearse, you can watch me play, and then I can show you some stuff, and I can let you play as well. I'm like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I linked up with him, joined the church band, but I didn't join officially. Like, I didn't sign any form. I just started attending, and I just became part of the church band. And people didn't really notice, because they were a lot in number, so they didn't really notice my addition to the band. But it got to a point where every Sunday they would play. They always just play one genre of music, which was high life, every Sunday. And every Sunday after like the service, choir would meet, and they would have a meeting and talk about like how the performance was, what they can do to improve, what they're playing next Sunday, and when the next rehearsal will be. And the band leader was speaking, and he asked the question. I think he was asking for like suggestion and stuff, and then I raised my hand and I stood up to speak. And I said, at first when he asked me to speak, there was a look on his face like, who's this guy? Like, I knew he couldn't, like, he can't.
I've never seen him before.
Remember, I never seen his face yet. So I'm like, yo, we always play high life every Sunday. Like, why don't we try other genre of music, like calypso, like I feel like just something else, like reggae, And then he was like, wait, who are you first? What's your name? So I told him my name. It was like, when did you join this band? He wasn't asking some questions, like if I signed the official form, or if I paid the fee to join, like how are you here? Or who even allowed you in? And then I got kicked out of the band. I would have shut my mouth up and just be there, learn what I need to learn. But I got kicked out of the church band, and then but luckily for me, at the time when that was happening, I was in a secondary school, St. Murumba College. I was about to go into St. Murumba College, and the new principal then because when I was like a couple of months after I enrolled, we got a new principal who was like a reverend father, and he was like a music lover. I was so lucky, and he built us a studio. He built a studio in the school, So, and then through the studio, they created a music and drama club in the school. So I joined the music and drama club. And the story of how I joined the music and drama club is another different story. But to cut it short, it was every Friday in Semrumba at the time, we have what we call Labor Day, where they make you come to school with cutlass and brooms.
Cut
So your
grass,
duty
yeah.
you cut grass and you clean the school and do all that, shenanigans. And obviously, our seniors in the time would bully us, would flog us, and just treat us badly. So my escape was music. The way to escape all that bullying and flogging was every Friday was our rehearsal. What just happened that God just made it that every Friday after school when we're supposed to be doing labor, that was when the music and drama, rehearsals were happening. So I joined the music club in school and started, rehearsing again. But this time around, I wasn't playing the keyboard. I was playing the bass guitar. So our principal had built us a studio. We had a live studio and a digital studio. I didn't know about the digital studio because they never ever let any of the students go in there to record. So P Square were my like 3 years senior at the time or 2 years senior at the time in that school. So they always used to rehearse in the studio. So sometimes we'll go to watch them rehearse or, just sit in and just, learn one or two things. So one day while I was, I think I went to rehearsals early. I got in the room before anyone else came in there. I was just setting up like the instruments, and so I could hear music from the next room, the digital studio. No one had ever gone into that room. I never even cared to even know what was going on there. So I was wondering if there was another like a live studio in there if we had to studios. So I peeped. All this while I used to think that was like a room for like a guest room or something. So I opened the door and I just peeked through the door, and I saw someone like an older guy sitting in front of a computer with two speakers in front of him, had a mixer, sets and keyboard, and he was programming music by himself, drums, snares, keyboard, and whatever. And I used to think to myself at the time that to program music, to make music, to produce music, you need to gather all the instrumentalists in one room and record them. That was the idea I had of how music was created, And I just saw this man doing this same thing all by himself. So, and then he looked back and saw me peeking. Luckily for me, he didn't chase me away. He just told me, "Oh, come inside, come in and close the door." So I came in, closed the door, and sat behind him. I was just watching him work. I was just in so much awe, it just blew my mind. So I asked him a question like, what's this? What's happening? So he explained to me like, this is a software, and before then I had graduated from the previous school that I transferred from as a best computer student. I came out best computer student, best art student. So I knew a lot about computers, So he was explaining the softwares for me and like, this is Fruity Loops, this is what I used to produce. I'm just programming the drums and blah, 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 blah. He explained it to me and then he gave me a free copy of the software, Fruity Loops 3 at the time. Burnt it on a CD for me. So I took it and took it home. Took it to a friend of mine. His name is Daly. He used to dance for P Square. It was one of the music videos that they shot in our school hall. So Daly was my best friend at the time. We were in same class, same school together. So I told the software to him and told him, "Yo, this software is magic, basically." Most times whenever we'll get like software to install, it's usually like games, like PC games that we install and play, But this time around, this is like a music production software. It's new, it's brand new stuff, And then his mom, I didn't have a computer system at the time. His mom had a computer in her room in their house. And his mom was a lecturer. So what we'll do is whenever we'll close from school, we would rush home to get home early before the mom gets back home. So we'll get home, broke into the mom's room, installed the software on her computer, and we both started just self-teaching out, just figuring it out, just rehearsing.
Wait, would you be like timing? Okay, she's going to come back at this time, so let's go in at this time.
His brother would literally, watch out for us and be at the window checking out for when her car pulls up, And immediately he sights a car coming from a distance. We shut everything down and close the door and then go to the city room and just be watching, movies or something, whatever, just play video games or whatever we do as kids. And then she would come in, she wouldn't suspect anything. So we kept doing that for months. It got to a point where my interest kept growing. He just figured that this guy's interested in this thing and we're getting better, and he just left it for me. He was a dancer and that was what he was focusing on at the time. So I kept rehearsing, but I figured this wasn't sustainable, just sneaking into my friend's mom's room and, learning Fruity Loops. It wasn't a sustainable, method. So I went back home, told my mom about it. then I was already making art. I was selling art, so I was able to raise some funds for myself, and I was able to get some extra funds from my mom, and I added it to what I had, and I built my first computer set that I had. So I just got the case, got a motherboard, got RAM, got hard drives. I just pieced it together. So I bought it gradually though, and when I had the complete system, I pieced it together and built my first studio. And that was when I now had the liberty to just start creating. So I would come back from school, I wouldn't go anywhere. I would just be in my room, just making noise, banging, just banging out beats. And my room was literally opposite my mom's room. Luckily for me, she was a supportive parent. She wouldn't come and complain that I was making noise. Sometimes she would even come in the room and sit with me. I'm like, what? Like, because she was amazed to what I was doing. Like, what is this? What is, like, explain it to me. What's going on? So
Is that
I'll
because she
tell her all
was
about it.
hearing your raps on the tapes, like the ones that you were?
Yeah, she knew about that before then.
Oh, she
Although
knew.
she used to
Okay.
complain. Yeah, she used to complain about us destroying our tapes. But after a while, she stopped complaining. She would just buy new ones and replace it.
Yeah.
So as soon as she saw that I was, taking it serious, before I even bought the computer system, she had bought me and my brother there's this toy at the time, it's like a keyboard that has a mic attached to it. So the piano keyboard is like one of the electronic music, toys that you just press and it makes sounds and stuff. So we had all that, and she was just in awe, man. So I kept making art, kept making money, and I kept upgrading my computer. At some point, I was able to buy those two small studio speakers. I didn't have a speaker at the time. I just had headphones, or I had there was this. I took speakers out of, like, car speakers from, like, car doors.
Yeah.
I was very hands on at the time, so I took those and connected it to the system so I could hear the sounds better. So kept working, and then yeah, what I would do is I would listen to my favorite producers at the time, which was Timbaland and Jay Dilla and DJ Premier, and I would try to recreate their music. Try to recreate it as close as possible as I can. So I kept doing that as practice. Kept doing that for like months, years, and after a while, I would meet friends with similar, um, taste in hobby. And so I met a friend of mine, Efe, who's late now, and he came to my house once and he heard my beats. So, like, yo, bro, you're really good at this thing. He was a music head. The way he was a hip hop head, he had racks and racks and racks and racks of albums. So he would bring them to my house and be like, yo, you need to listen to this album. You need to see. He put me on a lot more music and a lot more, genres of music and rap. So that helped expand my knowledge of beat making, and thanks to him as well. But I had one problem. I couldn't get my sound to sound as good as what I was listening to in those CDs and those tapes. So I figured the reason was because I wasn't using sound. I didn't have sound packs. I didn't have, like, sample packs, like drum packs, snares and stuff. So what I started doing is I would listen to their music and just listen for where a snare sound stands on its own or a kick stands on its own, and I would chop that part out and save it as one sample. So I did that for all the albums that I had that he had sent to me. I kept doing that until I had a library of sound that I had created for myself. And that was that was the genesis. I didn't even know what I was doing at the time. I didn't even know it was called sampling. That was the genesis of my career as a sampling producer. So after a while, I got admission into ABU Zaria, and journey
Wait,
continued
sorry,
there.
you said you would chop that part out. Was that the origin of your name?
Chopper, yeah.
Chopstix.
That was how Chopper. That was how
Okay.
Chopper came about. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was even Chopper. It wasn't Chopsticks. It was Chopper, like CHOPPER.
Yeah.
Like someone that chops. Yeah. So, and then he just graduated from Chopper to Chopsticks. That's another story for the other day. But yeah. So then I got admitted into ABU Zaria. This was after I graduated from Samramba College. Got admitted into ABU, University of ABU, Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. And that was when I continued studying art, painting, drawing and stuff. And I linked up with other people, music lovers in school. And we had, there's this thing we do every Friday. It's called cipher sessions. Like we had, so in my department we have like a section of the department that's like a garden. So it's called the sculpture garden. Yeah, in the garden, it's just a garden with sculptures in there, and it's like a chill place where people just come and chill and just chill daytime, even at nighttime. Some guys go there with their girlfriends and just chill and have a good time. You get me?
Yeah.
So we do that every Friday, and then I used to go there and just rap, and just we form like a circle where there's like a bunch of people listening to you and you're just rapping. And from there, I linked up with other people who were beat makers, and we just make beats, and we're just growing, basically, just expanding. And I would graduate from ABU, and while all this was happening, I also linked up with Ice Prince back in Jos. This is while I was still in school. Linked up with Ice Prince through Abuchi, who is currently the CEO of Chocolate City. And Abuchi at the time was a sound engineer. So I had linked up with Abuchi because I wanted to do a session with him in their studio in House at the time. Because we wanted to record an artist that I was working with that I met through FA, who was the guy that gave me all those CDs to listen to. So went to their studio to record, and I met Ice Prince through there, and Ice Prince heard my music and fell in love with it. And we've connected from then till now. We've just connected, and it's just been instant connection and friendship since then. And yeah, I don't know if I should. It's a longer story.
Was that when you?
Yeah.
No. I'm focused. Was that when you is that when you guys like worked on the Aboki?
No, Aboki didn't happen until like even a couple of years after we met, because I was still in uni.
Okay.
Aboki happened after I graduated, after I left uni, after I graduated from uni, and moved to Lagos. Yes, I moved to Lagos in 2012, December, and even first year after I even moved to Lagos, I wasn't producing music. I wasn't making anything. I was just learning. I was just studying. The industry in Lagos is a different industry. Back in Jos, we were big stars. We had songs on radio, #1 songs for weeks, and we're already big stars. But you can't be a big star in a small city. You have to, if you want to do things and grow your career, you have to move out and just go conquer the world. You get me? So,
so do you still write? Do you still like rap?
No, I don't rap anymore. But sometimes in a session, if I'm in a session with an artist and they need help like writing, I kind of like help contribute as well sometimes.
Okay.
But I stopped rapping because I figured I just enjoyed producing more than I did rapping, because I just love to do what comes from within, what I can enjoy. You get me? I don't want to be rapping because it's just cool or because I want to seem cool. Nah, I want to do it because I actually love doing it.
Yeah.
You get me?
Yeah. No, definitely. So it seems like your journey is like has the theme of curiosity, right? Like initially just like, I'm very like curious. Like I saw this guy in this room doing this thing, and I want to learn it. And from curiosity to, okay, you're building your own thing, right? Like your own studio, your own setup at home. To okay, like working with some of these artists, right? So it seems like curiosity, building, and then collaboration. So one of the songs, right, that a lot of people know you for producing is Last with Burna Boy, right? What was the process of making that record? Like, cause like, what was the process of like sampling that first of all, and making it?
So, first of all, that song just allowed me to show my original music production skills, which was sampling. So that was me in my elements. You get me? Just doing my
full
thing.
cycle moment.
Basically, yeah, exactly. Just that was how I started, and that was it just came back all the way. But it was Burna's idea to sample the song. It was his idea that he came up with the idea. Oh, I'm gonna sample this song. So it just happened that he was speaking to the right person, which was me, and he just let me do my thing in production wise, and he did his thing, lyric writing wise. And it happened that while I was producing, he was already churning out ideas. He was ready to record even before the beat was done. He had already laid out his lyrics. I had recorded his vocals before I could finish the beat. That's how
So that
quick he
means
was.
you are adjusting, like as you were making it with the
Making it
context of
around him,
what.
around his
Yeah.
vocals. Yeah,
Okay.
just building around his vocals. Yeah, and usually that's how I enjoy to make music with artists. Rather than just send them beats and let them do their thing. I can do that as well, but it's better when an artist has an input in the entire process. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
And when you build the music around them, around their vocals, because as you're layering instruments, you layer the kick, snare, melodies, whatever. The vocals is part of the instruments you're layering as well. You have to treat the vocals like an instrument as well.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I like to send artists unfinished beats. And whenever they lay their vocals and finish writing, then I finish the music over their vocals. But it just happened that two of some songs that I produced that are not finished got released. So before I could explain to the artist that, oh shit, this beat is not done. Oh, let me finish what they had already prepared and released it. And funny enough, those two tracks now are actually doing really, really, really good. One got placed in a movie, the other one just won a Grammy.
What was the one that got placed in the movie?
London Town by Mr. Easy.
By me say okay. And
Yeah.
then the Grammy one is Nightmares.
Yeah, Nightmares with Chris Brown and Byron Messiah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was working with Burna like? Like, was especially like studio energy, like collaboration, like what was that like?
I mean, so before I even started working with him, I usually choose who I want to work with, because I believe as a producer, you can't produce every artist. And as an artist, you can't work with every producer. You have to move or align with people who align with your type of sound, and align with people who that if you collaborate with, even if it's a different sound, wherever you guys are going to birth will be something amazing, So, and you should be able to at least tell to a certain extent if I work with this person, because their sound, for a fact that you guys are going to make something amazing.
Yeah.
And also because I was lucky enough to just have artists that I already work with. I was working with Ice Prince, I was working with MI, Young L, India. Like I already had a handful of artists that I was building with, And then I met Burna Boy through Ice Prince. There was a song we did. The song is called "Give Me That," and I think it was supposed to get a cut. It was supposed to make it to Ice Prince's album, and they needed a verse. And I think he had done a verse with Wandeko, but he was trying to get Wandeko to finish the verse or something. I don't know if Wande wasn't available at the time, and we're closing up to the deadline of the album release, so we just had to do something. So he hit up Burna Boy, and Burna came to the studio, heard the record, just did a one take and killed it, and that was how that record happened, and that was how I met Burna Boy, and we just connected since from there. And next time I met him, we were in the studio together working, and we made the first song we made together. I think the first official song that we made that got released is Rockstar, and then from there we just started working, But it's been amazing. He's a very, very versatile, also very very talented. I don't even think people have seen the extent of his versatility yet. He might just be keeping it cool and just keeping it, let me just keep it commercial. But yeah, it's just what it is. But I've seen what that guy is capable of. Like I've seen what he can do musically, and it's amazing. It just goes without saying, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping we get to see that versatility, more of it. So
Oh yeah,
I think
it's good. He's unleashing it gradually. Gradually. It's a gradual thing, but because it might be overwhelming if you just come at you guys like that.
Yeah. No, I feel you. And then Nightmares, that was on the Grammy-winning album. What was making that song like? Because Byron was on that song, and when I listened to the song, it sounds similar to Taliban's, which Byron was on as well. So was there any like inspiration from that? Yeah.
Yeah. It was every song that I feel, even thinking about it now, every song that I've created and we've put out there is always very intentional. I'm always very, very intentional with my music. So the song I created this song with Hailey. Hailey is a UK artist. Used to be part of a team group called Western.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you I don't know if you know them, but it's a
No, I'm
very
not
very
familiar.
okay. So Western is a UK based group, and Haley is a UK based artist, very talented. He's actually one of the most talented artists I've worked with.
Mhm.
You know, I'm a fan of his music as well, and I've always wanted to work with him or the group. You know, which I eventually did, and then this was Nightmare came about me just working with him, and we created Nightmares, and Chris Brown heard it and cut the record, you know, and go by Messiah to do a verse on it. You know, I didn't meet with Chris Brown one-on-one. I never met with him because I was supposed to fly to Jamaica to do a writing camp with them, but you know, being a Nigerian with visa issues,
Oh my, I
yeah,
understand though. I feel like
yeah, my visa came out late, and by the time I had my visa, the camp was already done and over with. So that opportunity left, which is another thing I need to even speak about maybe some other time. But there has to be a solution to this visa thing for Nigerian creatives, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, my music has gone to every ends of the world, to places that I have never even been, you know, places that I might, you know. But for you as a creative to go there, as a Nigerian creative to go to even some African countries is difficult. It's a challenge, you know. And we need to just figure that shit out. Just find a way around it, or just figure out a solution, a permanent solution to that. You know,
Yeah.
because
I think there was this country, I don't know, is it, I don't know if it's Rwanda or Kenya, or I don't remember the exact country, but there was I think one or two African countries that rolling out this initiative where, like, you know, basically as long as you have an African, like you're from an African
passport.
country, yeah, you can visit the country. Like, you don't need a visa. So visa free
Oh yeah,
entry.
yeah.
I don't
A lot
remember
of
the
African
country.
countries. Yeah, I think Kenya has done that now. Ghana
Yeah,
has
okay,
currently
yeah, it's
done that
Kenya,
now as
yeah.
well. Yeah, a few African countries are opening up their country to the rest of Africa, which is how it's supposed to be, anyways. I don't see any reason why
Yeah,
any
it
African
doesn't.
country should lock out another African countries from entering that. We're all like, Africa is one big country. That's how I see it, to be honest.
Yeah,
And then all the
yeah,
countries in Africa are states. That's how it should be. You know, we should
yeah.
be open. We should allow each other. We should collaborate. We should connect with each other and just grow as Africans, rather
Yeah,
than
because
saying,
that way
"Oh,
you bring,
yeah,
it's almost like collaboration, like you said, like it's a power in
yeah,
numbers, because
yeah,
like
yeah,
Africa is like 1.4 billion people, like
exactly."
compared to like 100 million here, 5 million here, 10 million. You see, so yeah, okay, okay. And so, how did you feel when you found out that that song Nightmares won a Grammy? Like, how was,
Bro,
like,
it felt it felt different. I felt amazing because I've been nominated 4 times. That's 4 nominations, 1 win. You get me? So
yeah,
even the first time I was nominated, the second time I was nominated, the album that I was nominated on, which is Burna's album, which I thought was going to win, didn't win. You know, but it happens. It's one of those things, and you just you don't have to feel any type of way about it. You're just grateful that you're even nominated in the first place. You know, and at least they recognize the fact that this this body of work is Grammy worthy. Like, is good enough to be in that category. You get me?
yeah,
And yeah, but finally winning it on an album, on the best global R&B album, I feel like, is an icing on the cake. It was just a blessing on a
would you
Chris
have
Brown album.
expected that it would turn out that way?
On a Chris Brown album,
Yeah.
to be honest, this one I didn't see coming. I didn't see it coming. But God has His ways of doing things, man.
So okay, so you're saying you didn't see this one coming?
I never expected it. I never expected
You never
it.
expected it.
I didn't see it coming at all. At all. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I knew we had a very powerful piece of body of work, because the 1111 album is such an amazing, you know, album. I don't know what Chris Brown was on, but you can tell. I mean, every piece of work he's put out, every piece of body of work that he's put out, Chris Brown is such a passionate artist that he puts so much into his work. You know, and I love to work with. I'm just glad to work with. I would love to work with those kind of artists, because that's how I work as well. Whenever I make music, I try to, as much as possible, to put, you know, passion into what I do. You know, and that's the reason why the music come out sounding the way it sounds.
Yeah. It sounds like that passion has always been there, like right from the beginning, you know, of when
Oh
you
yes,
even like started learning.
definitely. Yeah.
You know, when it comes to producing, right? Usually the public tends to focus more on the artist and sometimes misses like that the artist is not moving alone. Like the artist is moving with a team of people, producers, dancers, engineers, mixers, like all of that. So for you, like how do you navigate like that, especially when it comes to your work being recognized?
So yeah, I mean, for producers, it might be a bit of a challenge to get the type of visibility that you want as a music producer, because it's easy for the fans to get lost in just the superstardom of the artist, which is still fine, which is still, is something that, you should be happy about. Like, sometimes you're just happy to be a part. Maybe it's just me. Let me speak for myself. I'm just happy to be a part of something big, and I'm happy to be a major contributor of someone's success, which is going to be my success at the end of the day as well. So, but on the other hand, it's left for you now as a producer who's assumed to be the backbencher or someone that behind the scene, to just figure out how to position yourself in a way where you have the right kind of light shine on your work and on yourself as well. But also at the same time, you have to give it time, because I didn't start shouting or blowing my horn when I started. I knew for a fact that if I if I did my work, if I show up and do a good job and just keep doing that, after a while the work is going to speak for itself. I wouldn't have to say anything. I wouldn't have to come out today and say, oh, I'm the best producer, or I'm the this, I'm the that. Nah, like the work is going to speak for itself. People,
Yeah.
whoever hears that work and wants that quality of work will look for who's done that work. And that's how it usually happens. They find me, but I can understand when producers struggle to get visibility or to even have the right type of credits assigned, to them. And it's been that way globally for so long that even certain artists, don't care about crediting producers properly, in the proper way. Once the music is done, once everything is done, we're good. Let's keep it moving. They don't care about, properly crediting the people who are involved in the creative process, the writers, the producers, and everything else. The artist is as much of a piece of the puzzle as everyone else who's on that body of work or on the project.
Yeah. No, definitely. And so with that, like, what would you say to producers who are just starting, in terms of advice on how they should approach their careers?
Yeah, I would say just don't be in a hurry. Just take your time and look at me here today now. I'm a Grammy-winning producer, but how I started, I didn't start off going to look for a Grammy. I just started off just making what I love, just making music and making what keeps me happy. I'm just making music anyways, just making it at the best way that I can make it. And you have to be patient with yourself, and you have to discover yourself before you. I always say that, just discover yourself before you present yourself. Because if you present yourself too early, the market is just going to eat you up. You get lost in the noise. The music industry is no game. It's not where you come and just play games and do whatever you want and go. If you enter anyhow, that's how you leave anyhow. You have to know exactly what you're doing. Yeah. Give yourself time, grow yourself, make sure because how it is like a ring, it's like a boxing ring. Yeah. You see, maybe let's say you see 4 people in the boxing ring, like, going at each other, and you're outside the ring watching, and you're like, I want to get in there. But you're saying you want to get in there, but are you rehearsing? Do you have your gloves on? Because once you get in that ring, you are fighting. You're ready. Like, no one is gonna say, "Oh, you don't have your gloves on. Let me be lenient," or "Oh, you don't have your boxing shoes on." Nah, you're in the ring. You're here to box. That's it. You have to play the game if you're in there. So you have to give yourself time to prepare and be ready for the music industry. Just be ready for the market before you get in there. So just be patient with yourself. Grow. Find someone, even if it's not a big artist. Just find an artist. It might be your friend. It might be if your friend who's talented, who can sing. Start working with them. Grow with them. Build your sound with them. They might even turn out to be successful artists tomorrow and be big and win awards. And you can be proud to say that's someone you've grown and built, something with. And that's on the producer side. On the artist side, do the same thing. Find a producer. If he's a young guy, He might not make the best beats now, because even me, when I was coming up, when I linked up with Young L, the first set of beats that I sent to him, he didn't like it. He told me to my face, bro, this thing is whack. Your beats are whack. And that's Young L, who's one of my best friends now, who I'm still making music with today. But when he told me that, I didn't take it personal. I didn't feel depressed or take it personal. The kind of person I am is, if you tell me my music is whack, I'll go back. And I know when I'm hearing constructive criticism, and I know when someone is just being an idiot, But I knew that I had more work to do, So I just went back and got better. And the next time I met with him, the CD that I gave him that had my beats, he recorded everything, all the beats on there, and that's why we just became friends and we linked. And I just appreciate the fact that he was honest with his views, and I've been like that with him as well. Whenever he sends me stuff, I can tell him, nah, this is not good. Okay, this is good. Like, we are very, very honest and truthful with each other that way. Just So find a producer. He might never make the best beat now, but learn to grow. That's the best way. That's the best way to even perfect your skills. Just grow and master your art. Learn to grow with people. You can't grow alone. You might never even be an artist. Maybe another producer. Let's learn to grow and connect with people and just grow together. That's the best way.
So you mentioned discovering yourself before presenting yourself. How do you balance that, especially when it comes to, like, because right now, at least when it comes to content creation, right?
Yeah.
I have heard different people have different thoughts on this, but I've heard people say, just start now and then you evolve as you go, and then you just put yourself out there, and then as you're learning, you're tweaking, and with each video, with each whatever thing you're doing, you're improving. So how do you balance, like, discovering yourself before presenting yourself, or versus presenting yourself and discovering at the same time?
Yeah, when people tell you start now, whoever is telling you start now, they know why they're telling you that. They can see that you've, like, say for example, now I've never made music in my life before. I just want to start making music now. I can't just jump into making music and releasing music now. At least I have to start somewhere, make music that I know I might never release, but just practice first. It's like saying I want to become a race car driver tomorrow. Now I can't just go and buy a sport car tomorrow and go and join the race car. I will crash. I have to learn how to drive a car first. So imagine you've learned how to drive a car. You're just driving, and someone who knows that you can actually drive, but you might not be the best driver yet, but at least you have some skill. You can drive. That person will tell you, yo, start. So you would at least have some level of skill before you can now join the market and now start learning on the job and growing yourself and just be developing and getting better. It doesn't mean that you should just wake up one morning and be like, I want to be an artist, and then the first song you record in the studio is a song you want to go and release as your first single. Now, I would not, me personally, I would not advise that.
Yeah.
Just train yourself, because the moment you step out there, everyone in the market is your competition. That's who you're going against. Everyone that is in your field, and no one is going to look at you like you're a newcomer. No, because someone who just started today can blow up tomorrow and become the biggest artist tomorrow.
True.
Quicker than someone who's been there for 12 years. So the way time works in the music industry is almost unrealistic. You get me? But you have to grow your skill to some extent before you get into the market.
Okay. No, definitely. And for you, having been in the industry for a while, what is your biggest career goal? And have you reached it yet?
No, I haven't. My biggest career goal, funny enough, has nothing to do with winning anything in music. The Grammy is a blessing, to be honest. I'm never gonna lie. It's a blessing. But that's not even the goal. That's not my goal. My goal is to be able to get to the point where I have enough resources to be able to create opportunities for people like myself. To have more than enough resources, just to be able to make things possible, just create possibilities for young and upcoming artists, producers, just all creatives all around. Because I'm an all-round creative, and I know what the struggle is. I know how I know what I went through, juggling music production, being in school, making art. I was juggling all that. Sometimes I would travel from school back to Jos, travel from Jos back to Lagos, all by myself, looking for money, trying to raise is a hard struggle, you know. And there's a lot of things that you would have to miss out on as a young kid who just has an ambition, you know. But if the luck I had was someone else created the opportunity for me, built us a studio in school, and I was able to have a studio. I was able to learn. Imagine that opportunity never happened. It might have been a longer journey for me. You get, so I just want to be able to have enough resources to create those opportunities. Once I'm able to do that, then I can say, okay, cool. I've achieved one of the goals, one of my goals, because I have various goals. Yeah.
And so those opportunities would look like, you know, studios, you know, being able to have access to equipment, studios, things like that.
That it will be more than that. That will be within that. That will be one of the things that will be within, you know, that one opportunity. But you know, also you know, just being able, just because not just having studio, just being able to like speak to young talents and just reorientate them, give them a different orientation of what the music industry is, because the perception they have or the idea they have of what the music industry is really not what it is, you know. Because most people just feel, oh, if I just drop one song today, I will blow up. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way.
Consistency over time.
Yeah, there's a reality to how the music business works, and a lot of times it takes years, it takes experience to be able to fully understand it and say, okay, cool, now I understand how this thing works. If I release music, sometimes you wonder why an artist is not releasing music. Why is this person not releasing music? But to release music costs money because it's business. It costs a lot of money. Sometimes the artist is signed. It has to go through a label. There's stages. There's ways. There's ways these things work. It just doesn't. I can assure you, it just doesn't work how people think it works. Especially people who are not in the music industry. It just doesn't work that way. You know, and that's the reason why a lot of artists, young artists, get in the music industry with that perception of how the music industry works, get in there and then get into trouble. Either sign a terrible deal, or because I've signed terrible deals in the past myself, sign a terrible deal or get involved with, you know, people who they shouldn't get involved with. It's just because they're coming in with the wrong orientation. You know,
Yeah.
So imagine you're going into a business with the right orientation and the right knowledge. You know, it will just help you navigate better and make your path to success a bit more easier and just smarter and better.
Yeah, no, definitely. Let's talk more about the industry as it relates to like international like collaborations. So in 2023, Vivo mentioned that there's a 56% increase in global views of like Afrobeats and Amapiano videos, and I think 61% of that came from audiences outside of Africa. So like, there's no doubt that, you know, Afrobeats is taking over the world and as a genre. So for you, how do you approach those collaborations when you're making sounds that like cut across cultures? And the reason I ask that is because I know you mentioned that for you, when you're making music or listening to music, like you see, I watched one of your videos where you said like you see
Sounds,
it, like it's and if it's too busy, you start to lose. So like when
it becomes noise.
When you're trying to blend cultural sounds, like how do you maintain that simplicity? That's the question.
Okay, so basically, I just take elements that stand out in various genres. Like, let's say, for example, if you're trying to merge R&B and Afrobeats, for example, there's elements in R&B that stand out, you know, that is undeniable, which is the melody. R&B is just melodious music, you know, and that's what a lot of people are doing right now. And Afrobeats is just groove. It's just happy vibes. It's groove. It's the groove in our drums and in our, you know, in our rhythm. You know, if you're able to merge those two elements together, you're obviously going to have the outcome is going to be amazing. You know, so that's basically what I do. I just take elements in each genre or in any culture or whatever I'm trying to fuse. Just take elements that stand out, the most prominent elements that stand out, you know, and that's why I merge and create what I create. So I mean, at first it wouldn't be easy, but it over a while, it's just practice. You know, after a while, you already know. You just do it. You know, it's like second nature to you. If you're working with an artist from, let's say, Russia, for example, you know, because you've listened to their music. Once you listen to their music, or if you're a fan of their music or whatever, you will know exactly what to pick from their sound, what they resonate with the most in their music. You know how to pick that and merge it with what we resonate with the most in our music. That way, what you create would will be a song or a sound that both countries resonate with, and that's a larger audience. You
Yeah.
get me? So that's how it works.
Yeah. No, definitely. So picking elements that stand out from each and
Yeah.
bringing it together to connect with.
Yeah.
Okay.
A
Okay.
very larger audience. Yeah.
And so where do you see Afrobeats as a genre going in the next 10 years?
Well, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm also asking that because I had a conversation with Obi Asika, and he mentioned that Nigerian artists are probably leaving billions of dollars on the table by, well, I don't know if it's billions of dollars or naira, probably naira, but on the table by like not like focusing on touring within the country.
Within Africa, within Nigeria, yes.
Yeah. So what
Yeah,
are your thoughts on that?
Okay, so I'll answer the two questions. The first one, where I see Afrobeats going. Afrobeats is just gonna keep evolving. It's not. It's because I hear people saying, "Oh, Afrobeat is dying, is dead." People are not. It's not dying. It's just evolving. Because Afrobeat is one of the only genres of music that's easily fused with any other genre of music. That's a gift that we have. That's a blessing. You can fuse Afrobeat with any. If say for example, if K-pop start popping tomorrow, is like the biggest genre tomorrow, Afrobeat is still gonna be there right beside it. It's not gonna die or outshine or whatever. It's gonna be there because you can also fuse Afrobeat with it. So you to just keep see what's happening now with Amapiano. Amapiano is one of the biggest genres now in the world. But Afrobeat is still there. It doesn't mean that Afrobeat is not is gone. In fact, Afrobeat has somehow fused itself with Amapiano.
Yeah.
Where now Nigerians are making Amapiano music, Amapiano Afrobeat music, fusion. So it will just keep fusing. It will just keep fusing and just keep evolving. That's what's going to happen to Afrobeat. Afrobeat is here to stay forever. That's how I see it.
Okay.
And then in
so
terms
it's only
of
going
touring,
to keep growing.
Yes. In terms of touring, I think one of the reasons why we're missing out on a lot of money that we should be making as musicians, as African musicians or Nigerian musicians, is the fact that most of the big artists that we have in Nigeria are signed to foreign labels. And even if they're signed to Nigerian-owned labels, those Nigerian-owned labels are subsidiaries of a bigger international label.
Yeah.
So whenever
because Chocolate City
and
Chocolate City a subsidiary of Universal, or is that?
I think it's Warner Music now.
Oh, what? Oh,
I'm not
sorry,
sure what it is.
Warner. Yeah.
Warner Music. Yeah. So and most of these labels have their funding coming through these bigger labels. And if I'm funding you, I will have to tell you what to do. I have to make certain. You have to bend to certain rules that I have.
Yeah.
Now, yeah. If an artist who is signed to any of these labels is supposed to go on tour, obviously the tour is going to be centered around. They titled it World Tour, and then you check the venues of the tours and the cities of the tours, and they're all American cities or all European cities. There's no African city in the tour. I don't really think that's a world tour. That's just a tour. You're just going on just say you're going on a European tour or an American tour. So they fail to realize that Africa is actually really big. Africa is probably is so big that it's probably maybe it's the second largest continent in the world. It's bigger than in terms of even land size, country size. You get me? If we have labels in Nigeria or in Africa that are funded by Africans and Nigerians that are not subsidiary of any international labels, just independent labels or just labels that are Nigerian owned, African owned, and African funded, and Nigerian funded. I feel like if those type of labels have enough resources to send an artist on tour, that's when African tours will start happening. That's where you see artists touring. It might even be a Nigerian thing. It might start from Nigeria. It might start from anywhere. Say, for example, it starts from Nigeria. If a Nigerian artist does, I've never heard of a Nigerian artist that tours the 36 states in Nigeria. I've never heard of it.
Yeah.
Never. But I mean, there might be a lot of other factors that might be hindering that, but it's doable. It's not impossible. You get me? So, but imagine that happening. That's a lot of money to be made. That's a lot of opportunities to be created. That's a lot of jobs to be created for people. Just touring around Nigeria. So imagine just touring around Africa as a continent. You would literally have European and American artists come to tour in Africa. They've already started coming to do shows in South Africa and whatever. But imagine touring Africa as a continent. That is a lot of money. We're large in numbers. We're a spending people like people would come out like people would, like you would, there's a lot of money to be made. So we're definitely missing out on that angle. But I think that's the major reason. The major reason is because most of the people who are supposed to be doing these things are signed to international labels, and even if they're signed to Nigerian labels, those labels are still subsidiaries of international labels.
Yeah. Do you see that changing anytime soon? Like, do you see a wave of like maybe more independent, local owned labels, or
I mean,
do
it's
you?
just a matter of time.
Okay.
Yeah, just a matter of time. It just takes the problem one of the biggest challenges we've had with Nigerian Nigerian music investors is the fact that I feel like a lot of investors who put money into Nigerian music might not really get the full scope of what they're investing in. They just understand music from a certain angle, But if they understand the full scope, 360 scope of what the opportunity there it has in front of them, they will know what they're doing.
Yeah.
It just takes one person to make that change, and everyone else is going to see that opportunity and see that loophole and just start putting money in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a matter of time. It's going to happen. It will still happen one day. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
How we're going.
That actually makes me think of something that just happened recently because so USAID, right? A US organization that funds like projects across.
Yeah, I'm aware of it. Just say
yeah, and I think in 2023 alone they funded about $40 billion worth of projects around the world. And recently they decided to shut down the agency, which means like that's approximately no funding, approximately 40 billion a year that would typically go to countries around the world, not receiving it anymore. And I know a company in Nigeria that was significantly impacted, like close to $1 million impacted by that. And so I'm just thinking, like, when it comes to relying on foreign investment and aid, like, it's not as secure as we think it is.
It's not, and it's not sustainable because wherever anybody is giving you money, nobody gives anybody money for free. Nobody gives anybody money without an alternative, and without a ulterior motive. Even if it's presented as, oh, it's just business, I'm investing, you make. Anyone who's giving you money wants something that you have. So we need to start figuring out a way to generate our own money, and we can do this. It's not something that we cannot do. I mean, the reason why they're giving us the money is because we're able to generate it back, but we're not generating it into our system. We're generating it out of our system to repay. But we need to learn how to start generating, inwardly, just to generate funds and grow from the inside out. I think that's the only way, because once that start happening, you wouldn't need to look anywhere else to get funds. You'll be able to call your own shots for yourself. Because if someone is giving you money, they have to call your shots because you need to protect their money as well.
Yeah, and they could decide to like retrieve that funding.
To cut the exactly, and it could be at the moment where you have a project that can change things for you for good for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
but that funding just gets cut off, and what are you going to do at that time? So you see.
Yeah. No, there's a huge need for us to develop our own ecosystem when it comes to funding our music in Nigeria and Africa as a whole. But bro, okay, so we've come to a very important segment, which is the rapid fire segment.
Okay.
So how this is going to work is I will throw out a question and you answer it as quickly as you can, briefly.
Let's go.
And then move to the next. I will just keep going till we're done.
All right.
So, first question: what project have you enjoyed the most and why?
I would say Juice and Sim with Young L.
Okay.
Because I just had creative freedom. We just traveled and just created music from a happy place.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, who is one artist you have not worked with yet that you want to work with?
Giveon.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to dive into why. I want to dive into why. Can you?
Okay.
A little bit.
I just love his sound, man. I'll say Giveon and Don Toliver. I just love their sound. I love how, because when I work with artists, I go for how they sound, because they have a sound, not just because that they can sing. You might be able, you might have, you might have the skill to sing, but you might not have a sound. You get me? So I feel like they have a sound, and that's what I go for.
Okay. Yeah. And then your favorite genre outside of Afrobeats?
That would be house music.
House music. Okay. Why? Why house music?
Yeah, house and hip hop. It's just chilled, man. Just like, because I'm a
Chill
chill guy.
vibes. Chill guy.
And I love hip hop. And dancehall, house music and dancehall actually.
Okay. Yeah. So the thing about these rapid fire segments is I end up doing rapid fire and I end up like asking
It turns
more
into another interview.
Yeah, because I want to know like why, you know. But okay, so that's the end of the rapid fire segments. Not much questions, but
Okay.
where can people find you and your work? Obviously Spotify and the rest, but where can people find you? What's your handle?
Spotify, Instagram, Twitter, Chopstix, CHOPSTIIIIX, 4 eyes. Is anywhere you find me, you find you. Anywhere you type it in, you find me. Any social media, any platform you type that in, you find me.
Awesome.
Discord, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, everywhere. Chopstix.
So guys, go and check it out. Check him out on all social media platforms, Spotify, everything, you know. I think you have a playlist called Produced by Chopstix, so you could also find that on Spotify and Apple Music too. Are you a this? Are you a Spotify or Apple Music person?
So I used to have Apple Music, but I switched to Spotify when they finally moved to Nigeria.
Okay.
When they finally like allowed the Nigerian thing happen. But I have both actually. I have a Spotify, but I've found myself recently using Spotify more often than Apple Music.
Okay.
Because it's just easier to navigate. It's just, and the way music is curated on there it works for me better.
Yeah, that's with me too. Me too. Whenever I find a fellow Spotify user, I'm like, yes. Yeah. Thank you very much, bro. I think this has been very interesting. I mean, we could keep going, but I want to respect your time. And this has been very, very, very interesting, and I've enjoyed this conversation. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Peace out.
So yeah, 3 insights from my conversation with the Grammy-winning producer and the mastermind behind Burna Boy's Last Last. 1. The African music industry must fund itself to own its future. While foreign investment in the Nigerian music industry is good and is even welcome, I think we need to explore other sources of funding. 2nd insight, African creatives need easier visa access. So Chopstix, who's the producer behind Chris Brown's Nightmares, a track on his Grammy-winning 1111 Deluxe album, couldn't meet with Chris Brown due to visa delays. This just highlights a barrier for African creatives to collaborate globally and even within the African continent. So visa-free travel within Africa, as we've seen in Kenya, could help break down some of those barriers and encourage more collaboration opportunities within the continent. 3rd insight, discover before representing. So the process of creativity is not just about putting stuff out there. That itself is the end result. Creativity is more so about discovering who you are as a creative, understanding why you are creating, and understanding who you are creating for, whether that's across music, podcasting, anything. So if you enjoyed this segment, which I'm sure you did, share it with others, subscribe to us, and let us know as well. Thank you.